Diane, to your new job.
Darling, you've completely neglected to mention what that new job is.
So I have. It's my marina in Scotland, Diane. You will go up there to train as assistant manager of the dining room, and then you will return here fully experienced and ready to, well, who knows, step into Mr. Paul Ross's shoes. Find Mr. Hunter for me, would you please?
But as soon as Paul Ross hears that you plan to put Diane to Scotland to train to replace him, well, he'll be on to David to keep him here. I mean, he'd fight you to the death, dear. Yours or his.
Never mind, Mr. Hunter. Tell Mr. Ross I want him. Thank you.
I can't just pack up and go. I've been at the motel for years.
And you shall be here for many more years, Diane. Don't you understand? You will return here after only 3 months.
I've never been to Scotland.
Don't worry, you'll soon pick up the language. Come in.
Due to package tourists departing on early flights, J. Henry, we're very busy in the restaurant. Could you bear details like that in mind the next time you call my staff in here and keep them so long? Diane, we need...
You bear this in mind. Diane's capabilities have been grossly underestimated. I am appalled that you have not seen fit to recommend her promotion. As you haven't, I have. She will go up to my marina in Scotland next week to train for management. You, as my employee, will inform Mr. Hunter that you approve the transfer.
Since Diane Hunter is on my staff, J. Henry, I am responsible for her welfare. May I ask what sort of job you have in mind for her in Scotland?
Your sort of job.
That is preposterous. She's entirely unqualified.
I am the judge of qualifications, Paul.
Let's consult a few other judges on such matters, then. I'm sure you wouldn't mind, J. Henry, if I informed the major shareholders of the motel of your intentions.
You do whatever you wish, but Diane will go to Scotland.
He's only trying to bust up our marriage, that's all.
Oh, come on.
No, I mean it. She's trying to pile all the blame onto Glenda, and that's not on, Dad.
A stupid thing to do. I did warn her.
You knew then, beforehand?
Well, she did mention something.
You should have tried to stop her.
When she's got her mind set, no easy matter.
Something very important has just come up.
What is it, Paul?
I think you might like to know, and your wife and Mrs. Harvey, that J. Henry has just offered Diane a job at his marina in Scotland.
What are you talking about?
Apparently, it is to train her for management. My sort of job, as he put it.
That's ridiculous.
Absolutely my sentiments.
Oh, thanks for letting me know. I'll deal with it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pollard.
Not at all. Goodbye, Diane.
I don't know what you're up to, darling, but I just don't see that girl in a kilt.
Oh, really? Darling, would you mind typing a little memo for me?
What?
Uh-huh. Head it, Memorandum to J. Henry Pollard.
Darling, that's you, darling.
Yes, I know it's me, darling. Memorandum goes. After consideration of your recommendation in respect of Mrs. Diane Hunter, I would advise that she is transferred to your marina in Scotland forthwith, with an increase in salary of £50 per week. Signed, J.J. MacDonald, manager.
What do you want to go and do that for? We were watching.
Yes, I know, but I want to talk to Wally. Just for a few minutes, then he can spend the whole of the rest of the evening watching telly.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Glenda, what is it this time? What have I done wrong?
Oh, nothing. You've taken Mum to the pictures, given her a treat. Actually, I'm very grateful. It seems to know a lot of good.
Yes, it has. I don't know when I've enjoyed a day off more.
Exactly. So if we're not very careful, it could become a habit, couldn't it? Like mending his clothes, sewing on his buttons.
What are you getting at?
What she's been getting at since I set foot in the place. I don't belong here.
Well, you don't, do you?
Now, that's enough. That's for me to decide. It's my house.
But, Mum...
We were just settling down to a nice, quiet evening.
I'm only trying to protect you.
Protect her? From what? From me? Don't be soft. Do you think I'd try and take your dad's place?
You couldn't.
No, couldn't. Wouldn't want to. Just because your mother and I are sitting on the sofa looking at the television and talking about old times in front of the fire, it doesn't mean I'm a permanent fixture.
Well, it's certainly beginning to look like that.
Ah, well, you won't have to put up with me for long. 2 weeks at the most.
You've been saying a couple of weeks ever since you got here. If only I could believe it.
I'd have been long gone if your mother hadn't begged me to stay.
Begged you?
Yes, I did ask him.
All right, I agree. You've been good company for her. She's enjoyed having somebody to talk to. But what about the money?
Now, that's enough.
3 square meals a day, umpteen cups of tea, getting your washing done, your mending done, and a comfortable bed. Do you know how much that'd cost you in a motel or a guest house?
Look, he's family's dad's cousin.
Yeah, and doesn't he play on it?
It's daylight robbery.
Did I say I accept?
50 grand.
It's way below market value.
Well, what do you expect? The Mr. Pollards of this world leave themselves a lot of room to manoeuvre. He'll move up in 5s.
To what?
60, maybe.
Only maybe.
That's my guess.
Be a giveaway.
Undervalue, but not that hard. Do you find anybody interested, Mr. Banks?
A few feelers, nothing concrete. It's a difficult package, you see. I can't offer outright control. A 50-50 deal doesn't appeal to a lot of people.
Turnover's on the up and up. It's as safe as houses.
Even so. How long have we got?
Depends on Mr. Pollard's next move. Quite frankly, I think the next 5 will sway Ridge. And we won't have a lot of time there.
Well, that means I haven't got a lot of time either.
I just hate to see you go.
Join the club.
You shouldn't be listening.
I don't like being kept in the dark, mate.
I haven't got a lot of time.
This place is going to fold. I want to know about it. We got plans to make, haven't we?
Oh, there you go again.
Listen, if this J. Henry takes over here, we're all for the elbow, you know that?
You don't go on, you know.
Yeah, well, in that case, I'm going to put in for the golden handshake. All these months of uncertainty, I don't know whether I'm coming or going, right? Does things to a fella.
Like what?
Like ulcers. There's a rumour going around they're going to turn it into a knock it down, turn it into a hypermarket. A hypermarket.
Put a drop of whiskey in it, that'll warm you up.
Fancy going out without your coat.
Well, I didn't know I was going to have a flat on the way home, did I? Took me ages to get that wheel off. I think they must have welded it on. Wait till I see Mac.
I'll run you a hot bath.
It's all right, I'm warming up a bit now.
Oh, we don't you going down with a cold, do we?
I thought that were more of a privilege for a wife.
What?
Take no notice.
Well, running up baths and pouring whiskey and tea.
You spoiling for a row or something?
No, I don't mind. Wouldn't mind at all. Clear the air, wouldn't it? But no, it would upset Kath. And she's had enough to upset her up till now. I've got a much better idea than that. Cards on table, eh?
Suits me.
Right, you don't like me, do you?
Not a lot, no.
No, and Glenda would rather have me room than me company.
Right. So, when you leaving?
You're right. He's right, you know. I've been taking advantage too much. Free board and bed, and I'm not going to have it last that way. No. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pay you all back. I'm going to get a job.
You what?
Well, there'll be nothing to suit you round here.
I've got one in here. Night watchman in a small warehouse in Heathbury.
Yeah, but they'd never take you on for 2 weeks. And you're going after that, do you remember? Back to Manchester?
Got the address in here. First thing tomorrow morning, I'll be down there, get myself fixed up.
Means a lot to you, doesn't it, this place?
Like everything. Oh, come on, let's forget it. It'll buzz around my head all night. Let's talk about you.
Bore you to tears.
No, it wouldn't. What's your wife like?
Sal? Well, how do you start anything like that? She's, well, she's a mother, Kevin's mum, and...
There's more?
Yeah, 2 daughters.
Younger, older?
Oh, younger. Penny and Joyce.
Still at home?
No, they've flown the list. Just Sal and me now, has been for more than a year. I miss the family. I suppose one does.
Well, Kevin's near enough, isn't he?
Yes. Why aren't you married?
That's a bit bold.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's not painful. It's a question of hanging on too long, I suppose. I want things to happen when I want them to happen. I get very selfish. Because if I am tired, I laze. If I'm full of energy, I do things. If I'm hungry, I cook. If I diet, I starve. And I'm not answerable to another living soul. Which is all right in its way, but if you take a close look at it, it hasn't got a hell of a lot going for it. Do you know, if I'm not very careful, I should be a very lonely, if eccentric, old lady.
Oh, rubbish.
I will. Still, that's a mistake you haven't made, have you? You've done all right. Happy fella.
Yes, I suppose I am.
Val, where's that memo you typed for me?
Oh, darling, you're not only being very foolish, you're being unkind to that girl.
I'm offering her a better life than she's ever had before.
No, you're not. You're dropping her in the deep end. She'll be out of her depth.
You seem to forget, my dear, that I made my fortune by knowing who to put where.
Like Paul Ross.
The memo, Val. Thank you. Since you're so squeamish about the girl, you better leave me to deal with her on my own.
With pleasure.
I shan't be long. See you in the chalet in 5 minutes.
I suppose you'd better ask Mrs. Harvey and see what she says.
Diane, my dear, come and sit down.
Well, I'm not really allowed to sit down in the middle of reception.
Oh, then I'll stand. Here.
Well, it's addressed to you, not to me.
Ah, then, shall I see what it says? It's from my manager of the marina. Well, you'll be glad to know that after hearing how much I think about you, he has decided to recommend the very handsome salary you will see specified here. Go on, have a look yourself. Now, I'm sure you'll be able to save enough out of that to see Nicky much more often, won't you?
Ah, Miranda. Yes. This is for you.
Oh, thank you.
Good night, all.
No, Wally.
Right. You know he's talking about getting a job.
Oh, I don't believe it for a minute.
He's got it all fixed up. Night watchman. So be out of the way, he says. He'll sleep all day and be out all night.
All round here, do you mean?
Yeah, and that's what worries me. A fortnight, you said. This looks like he's staying for good.
Well, perhaps it's just temporary, this job. After all, he does want to collect a few pounds together before he goes on his way. We can put up with him till
Mum,
then.
we can't. Look, you're just too soft. He knows he can get round you as
Look,
easy
it's
as
not
anything.
as simple as that. I can't just turn him out. Because I'm under some sort of obligation to him.
What obligation?
Well, you said you hadn't seen him since your wedding.
No more I have. Well, I wasn't going to say anything about it. In fact, he didn't want me to mention it. But if you're going to be hard on him, I've got no choice. It seems, you see, that your dad borrowed some money off him some years ago.
Dad? Borrowed money off Wally? Oh, get off. He's having you on.
Well, how much?
£500.
Hey.
He was absolutely furious. Apparently not content with trying to talk him out of this baby business, you encouraged him to break up his marriage.
It's in pieces anyway.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
She's left him once, walked out on him. I don't suppose he told you that.
He set them in some sort of friction.
And she'll do exactly the same thing the next time she can't get her own way. Well, what kind of life is that for him, having to give in all the time?
I would have thought that a marriage was worth trying to save, no matter what.
Well, you'd be wrong. If there is nothing there, what would be the point? Oliver, it is no use pretending our son has made a perfect marriage. It's disaster. And the sooner he realizes it, the better.
For over a year now, I have spent a lot of time and a lot of effort trying to rebuild some sort of relationship with our son. Eventually, I got him to trust me enough to accept my help. Now, it wasn't easy. It took a lot of work. I was prepared to work, and I got my reward. Now, if you continue to behave towards him the way you do, you could destroy that very easily. And I would find that impossible to forgive.
It's blackmail, Mum. It's got to be. I mean, can you honestly see Dad borrowing £500 and not paying it back?
I must say, I did find it hard to believe when he told me.
Because he's lying. It's the oldest con game in the world. He comes round here after the funeral, sniffing around to see what's going.
I bet he asked about a will, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
There you are, then. How can you even think he's not trying it on? 500 quid? He's never had that sort of money in his life.
Oh, yes, he has. When he worked at the foundry, he had very good wages. In fact, what with bonuses and overtime, he must have saved quite a bit. In fact, I know he had more than Arthur did when we got married. No, it is possible, you see. If he knew that Arthur was worrying about furniture, it's just the sort of thing he would do. Offer to lend him the money.
Yeah, but even if he had, Dad would have paid him back straight away. You know how straight he was with money. He couldn't bear to even owe a farthing. I just think it's an insult to his memory.
Is he asking for it back now?
No.
Well, you just have to tell him straight out that you don't believe him and he's got to go.
Don't worry. I'll have a word with him.
No, you won't. If there's any straight talking to be done, I'll be the one to do it.
Well, I'll tell you this. If he doesn't go, Kevin and I will. I mean it, Mum. I'm not going on living here with him. Especially after we start the baby. It'd be hell.
Now, just you listen to me for a minute. This is my house, not yours, you know. And if I say he stays on for a few more weeks, then he stays. Do you understand? I know you don't like him. I know he can be a bit of a nuisance at times, but I'm not having you dictate to me what goes on under my roof. It's not for very long, after all. Perhaps just a month or two. If you can't put up with it, then you'll have to do as you say. Find somewhere else.
It's time I was home. Ah, there you are. David wants us to have a meeting right now.
What, at this time of night? Whatever for?
Well, J. Henry's been pushing along this Diane business, and we must talk about it before it's too late.
Oh, all right, then.
Okay?
Night, Mandy.
Good night.
Very well, sir. A table for 5 at 1 tomorrow. Steak Chateaubriand for 2 and Doverso for 3. Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night.
Good night.
Come to my room or yours.
I haven't quite finished duty, Miranda, yet.
Finish it, then.
Look, we've got to stop walking in and out of each other's rooms before the whole staff notices.
Well, someone has noticed and has let me know. I have received a poison pen letter.
What does it say?
Well, it was addressed to me unsigned, of course. It says that I might like to know that you have slept with every pretty girl on the staff. I know that's no more than to be expected, but it goes on, Paul.
To where? Does it name names?
To name Mummy.
Oh.
It says that you slept with my mother last summer, night after night.
Oh, that is not true, Miranda.
Well, of course it's not true, but it means that someone is rotten enough, vicious.
Well, show it to me.
What?
The letter, show it to me.
I can't, I don't have it.
Well, get it then, get it.
I gave it to the police.
How? Why?
Well, I took it straight round there. What else do you do with a poison pen letter?